Thank you so much for listening to another episode of CX Chronicles Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Brady Chazana. Super excited, guys. Number one, we've got an awesome guest here today. Mr. Joe Anderson from TaskUs is joining us, guys. Joe, say hello to the CX Nation, my friend.
Hello, everyone. And Adrian, thanks for having me on.
Well, Joe, my pleasure, man. So, guys, this is going to be a cool episode. Joe is the Senior Director and Head of CX and Digital Transformation at a super duper cool company called TaskUs. And I was excited. Joe, you already know the deal, brother. I whenever another fellow CX nerd comes onto the show, baby, I'm pumped. I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm ready to talk customer experience. I'm ready to talk all the things that you and your team are probably thinking about every single solitary day at TaskUs. So why don't you set the stage, my friend? Start off today's episode like we start off all these shows. Spend a couple minutes just kind of, number one, introducing yourself to the CX Nation, and number two, how did you find your way into this wild world of customer experience and digital transformation? And how did you find your way into working at an incredible company like TaskUs, leading a team of amazing folks today?
Well, Adrian, yeah, thank you for the introduction. My background actually started in management consulting. I spent about a decade at Deloitte Consulting doing a lot of customer experience strategy work and also systems work for a number of large enterprise clients. Took a route back through graduate school and worked at a healthcare startup before being recruited over to TaskUs to lead CX strategy for us in our consulting practice. From there, actually stepped into a leadership role to lead our entire professional services group, including all of the digital transformation work we do. So all of the systems integration and system strategy work from my background in management consulting naturally led me to be able to take on this role at TaskUs, leading digital transformation for us. And, super excited to dive in a little bit more deeply with you, Adrian, about the role AI is playing in the CX world today. It's one of our key focus areas at TaskUs for this coming year.
Love it, man. Number one, that's awesome. Number two, thank you again for joining. But you have a super cool job. You have a super cool business that you're working at. Before we even jump into TaskUs, I'm gonna pick on the first part of what you said. So you actually spent your career working in consulting. What was that like, man? Number one, I got to imagine you got to see a bunch of different customers in action. You probably got to see a bunch of different types of executive appetites in flight, and then you probably got to see some pretty incredible business consultants that are working at some of these huge companies. Probably got to see how they kind of dive in and how they vet and how they understand what's happening in the business, what's good, what's bad, what are the things that they already know immediately they're going to have to change. Where are their opportunities? So just spend like a minute or two talking about what was that like? Because that must have been an incredible foundation to build a CX career upon.
Yeah, absolutely, Adrian. I think the most interesting thing was being able to see that executive viewpoint and how it set the stage for a lot of decisions that are made tactically on the ground. So how do we make decisions on a day-to-day basis on tactical things that align with a company's overall strategy? And that overall strategy being everything from how the business is run to their end customer experience. And that customer experience lens, I think, is what is super exciting to apply here at TaskUs. And I know you phrased the question about, talk about the background before we get to TaskUs. So I do want to spend a little bit of time there first. Businesses would not be successful without their customers. It's super important to understand what is that in customer journey that we're aiming for, and how does everything we do, from things that might even seem like they are, kind of behind the scenes tasks, how do they impact the overall customer experience, and how do they support the overall customer experience strategy? So I think it first does start with that strategy. What do we want the customer experience to be? What do we want it to look like? How do we want customers to perceive our brand, from that first awareness point to all the different stages along the customer journey as they consider buying, as they interact with the product, to ultimately the support they receive so that they can become advocates for a brand in the long run.
It's extremely well said, man. It's funny. There's so many. I have the great fortune of talking to so many startup founders and people that are kind of building their business, or they're getting their business up in flight, or it's the first couple of years, or they're finding product market fit, or they're just starting to find their space, their niche, their people, right? The people that they can solve a problem for. And what you just said is so funny, man. So often people don't take a minute to sort of step back and almost look at the entire journey. like you just said. So like some people might look at it and say, well, how are we going to strategically dive in or cut into how we can go about making things better, tighter, stronger, faster, cheaper, whatever the goal is. But it's amazing how easy or how simple taking time to actually map or plot out any customer journey or any user journey. And the guys, I know I say this all the time on the show, but like having some of your best and brightest employees are the guys and the gals that are actually building the product, building the service, delivering the product, delivering the service. Having those people a part of literally dumping all the puzzle pieces out on the table and kind of building, piles of colors and piles of shapes and then putting it back together, man. That is a really easy way to start to kind of slice and dice and define sort of what the journey looks like. And once you kind of start to see what that journey looks like, becomes a little bit easier to start putting things back together and start to building upon it. So I love that, Joe. Was there before we don't jump into TaskUs, was there like one big golden nugget, or was if there was like one major thing that you took away from your all the years that you spent at Deloitte? What would it be? What was like the one golden nugget or the golden lesson that you kind of took with you and then brought into all these other roles that you've done and then that you've brought over to Task Force today, leading the team there?
Well, I think you alluded to it, Adrian, and I'll kind of echo what you said earlier. It's making sure we're understanding all the pieces of the puzzle, using both data and anecdotes to paint the entire picture, and doing it from a myriad of viewpoints. I think oftentimes business leaders, they stay a little high level and um, might overlook what are the end customers saying. I think a lot of times it's that kind of in part of the journey where customers give feedback on their experience via their interactions with customer support, the reviews they write online. Keeping a really close eye on that and what customers are saying about you at a tactical level, I think is super important. You'll see You'll see anecdotes within those, but you can also draw broad conclusions via data, and putting the two of those together is super important to understand how customers perceive you.
I mean, if you think about it, Joe, this day and age, most customers start their buying process with looking at what did the people before me actually say about this brand or this product or the service. Think about it, even stupid stuff, Joe, right? Like you're going to add some silly thing into the Amazon cart that you just need for the household, right? You still can't help it. You drill into the star, you look at the star rating. I don't know. I mean, if you're like me, I know you probably just like me, like our CX nerds are always looking at reviews just to kind of see, like you just said, you can kind of quickly see from a handful of good reviews and a handful of bad reviews, sort of what the truth is in the middle. And that's the society we live in today, right? Everybody has at the tap of the finger the ability to give feedback or to provide a review or to give a 5 star or something like that. And it's kind of become a part of our buying process. So it's a huge part of some of the things that we're doing in these CX roles. And it's probably a huge part of some of the things that you're helping your customers with today at Tasca. So let's jump into the first pillar of tools, our team. Sorry, I would love for you to spend a couple of minutes, kind of number one, set up TaskUs. Who are you guys? What are you doing? What types of customers are you helping with? And then I'd love, Joe, for you to spend some time kind of chatting through your team that you lead every single solitary day, so we can understand some of the different roles and positions and some of the different things that you guys are doing to serve your customers every day.
Yeah, so at TaskUs, we're a business process outsourcing firm, and we have three primary lines of business. First being digital customer experience, providing that customer experience support to our clients and customers. Second is trust and safety. That involves content moderation to help keep brands and their customers safe in their interactions with each other and third parties. And the third pillar of our business is in AI services. So helping to build the AI solutions that are out there, everything from data labeling, data annotation to AI safety. So with the foundational models doing the prompt injection defense, the red teaming, the reinforcement learning, so that those AI models behave safely and in line with people's expectations.
So AI safety, Joe. That's something that I want to stop you on for a second. So all of us hear about AI, good, bad, ugly, all the things, right? AI safety is something different. Can you talk a little bit deeper about AI safety and what that means, and give our listeners a couple examples of ways that maybe even they should be thinking about AI? Every single one of our listeners on the show is probably using their minimum type of AI tools, right? ChatGPT, or they're using a Create XYZ, or they're for someone like me in the podcasting world, they're using an Opus clip to be able to create all sorts of different clips from awesome interviews like this. But What does AI safety mean at TaskUs, and what does that mean for TaskUs customers when you're building AI safety into their strategy?
Yeah, so we think about AI safety as those human-powered practices that help our clients build responsible AI, reducing risks, minimizing harm, and ensuring ethical outcomes. And really, I'd put it in five major components. So the first is alignment, ensuring those AI systems behave consistently with human intentions, even when explicit instructions are incomplete or ambiguous. The next is around robustness. So building systems that are resilient against adversarial attacks or unforeseen situations. The third would be interpretability. So developing methods for understanding and explaining AI decisions and behaviors. So it's not just a black box. The fourth one is control and oversight. So making sure that there are mechanisms in place for human intervention, monitoring, and governance to protect against harmful outcomes. And the last one, I alluded to this at the beginning, but risk mitigation. So anticipating or preventing systemic harms or misuse. And that AI safety really spans the gamut of our business. So, and that those AI services we provide, making sure that we are doing so in a way that promotes AI safety through the training of models, through the application of our trust and safety work, making sure that the content that we review and the models that we help train are done so in a safe way. And then through our core customer care business, making sure that the practical AI applications that we deploy are done so in a safe way and are tested rigorously so that the customer interactions that they support and automate are automated in a way that is consistent with our clients' expectations and we get the right outcomes.
I love that. And Joe, like, so on that last part, the testing, how in depth does that get, man? Is that something that can take months or a year with the customer? Is that something that takes weeks? Like how how deep and how wide do you guys actually get when you're doing some of the testing on it? Because this stuff is hard, right? Then I imagine, although you have similar types of use cases, every customer has a slightly different pain or a slightly different need that for the reason for the why they're using it. But what does the testing actually look like?
Yeah, and that's really where TaskUs shines. We know our clients' operations intimately, their policies, their processes, the tools they use. So when it comes time to test an AI solution that's going to be interacting with our clients' customers, we know what the operational process should look like. We're able to test those AI agents in a number of happy path scenarios, but also edge cases. Like let's go through and try to break the AI solution through, providing scenarios that might deviate from the happy path. Those edge cases that our human agents get to deal with on a regular basis. Let's test the AI agent against those. Make sure that the right guardrails are in place to either prevent a potentially harmful outcome or escalate to a human where human intervention is needed for those emotionally charged situations, those more complex ones, those ones where some more EQ is required to handle that.
Are you referring to when Adrian starts screaming, give me an operator right now? Are you talking about that, Joe?
Um,
One of those
Adrian, I find it hard to imagine that there's not a person out there who hasn't done that. But yeah, having the systems that are able to recognize that when it's happening, but hopefully even before as well. If there are particular steps that you're trying to take that just aren't getting you the resolution, you shouldn't have to ask for an operator. We want those systems that know, hey, Adrian's talking about something that requires a teammate. We refer to our agents as teammates to get our teammates involved to help address that before you get frustrated.
I mean, that's you would think with the way that the world is moving, the way that technology is working, the way that AI is aiding technology, you'd think that that's where we should all be, and that's obviously a really excellent call. Joe, talk about what are some of the different types of roles or some of the different departments that you guys have built on the TaskUs team to be able to kind of put the team out on the pitch every single day, working with your customers.
Yeah, so broadly, our operations teams are the real heroes. We're a frontline first organization, and that means that as we make decisions on how to run our business, how to work with our clients, it's all in the support of our frontline teammates, the ones who are answering the phones, who are answering the chats, answering the emails, and supporting our clients' customers on a day-to-day basis. So everything is really about supporting them and making sure that they've got the tools and the technology that they need and the support that they need to do their jobs effectively. We, fully espouse that having really happy teammates allows them to deliver a better customer experience for our clients. We see a lot lower turnover than anybody else in the industry. The referral rate from our teammates who encourage their friends or family to join us is just tremendous. I think we're north of 60% right now on that.
That's fantastic. And it's a huge team. Guys, for our listeners, folks that don't know Joe and TaskUs, this is a huge company, right? So correct me if I'm wrong, but on the TaskUs website, 61,500 employees worldwide. You guys are a soccer stadium of people serving customers every single day and serving customer interactions. 30 languages spoken, 12 countries, 28 sites. Um, it's got to be a lot of fun to see some of the different things that you guys are doing every single solitary month, every single solitary quarter, with a team like that.
And Adrian, I'm glad you brought that up. I think those stats speak for themselves. And we're also the fastest growing BPO in our space too, in our market segment. I think in Q1 of this year, our growth rate was over 20%
Wow.
on a on a quarterly comparison basis. We're super proud of that to be able to grow at that rate and deliver the outcomes that we have for our clients.
That's huge, man. It's huge, and it's tough. It's tough to do that while growing at that pace, and if you can manage it, then that means there's a lot of things going on, really, really well. Um, Joe, I'd like to talk about tools. Obviously, you already started to kind of set the stage here, but you guys work with all sorts of different types of clients. You work with a ton of different types of tools. Spend a couple of minutes kind of talking about how you and your team sort of when you find a brand new customer, or you find a brand new client that you're working with, spend a couple of minutes kind of talking about number one, how do you do the ingestion? How do you understand what tools they're using? How do you understand which teammates or you would apply or which agents you would apply to those tools? Um, Spend a couple of minutes just kind of talking about technology and talking about how TaskUs has had to bridle and manage working with all of these different companies and all of these different technologies and kind of wrangle them into a usable, workable type of solution.
Yeah, Adrian, I'll look at it through two lenses. Our clients, really range from startups to Fortune 100 companies, and they come to us in a range of maturities in terms of their technology sophistication. And I think on one end of the spectrum, our clients have a mature CX tech stack. They're coming to us with their own tools. They want to make sure that we are able to use them effectively. But even in those situations, on that end of the spectrum, we see that there's often something we're able to help add to the equation, whether that is the digital innovations that we've built that can be deployed without integrations that are pretty light, that help our teammates operate more efficiently and more effectively, to some of the partner solutions that we're bringing into those clients. Versus on the other end of the spectrum, our clients may not have a mature CX tech stack, and they may say, "Hey, TaskUs, help us envision what the right technology is to help support our customers." And in those cases, we can offer a turnkey solution for our clients, and we can help them build in the right automations so that they're getting the most out of those tools that we're bringing to them. I
That's all.
think, before we go forward, the point I want to make though is it really depends on what is that in customer experience that we're envisioning. The technology should be reflective of that. We ought to have those business goals set in place before we're using technology. We use technology to meet business goals. It's the business oriented technology enabled approach that we like to take.
I love that, man. And you're right. Just so many companies that don't do it that way, they end up with these overweight, underutilized, over costly tech stacks that people don't actually understand what the hell is supposed to be used for different things. And right, and when you take that other approach of understanding what the business outcomes are, understanding business goals, understanding all the intricacies of the team, of the different roles and responsibilities on a team, the customer communications, right? All the different mediums. Are they coming from phone calls? Are they coming from chat? Are they coming from email? Are they in person? All of those things start to lay out different variables around what tools might make the most sense. Joe, question for you. Um, do you see, are there certain trends or are there certain tools that you find stack up in certain industries? Meaning, are there oftentimes certain industries where a new customer comes in and you say, "Oh, okay, manufacturing, got it. You guys are going to probably have a short list of these tools because you're already working with those companies," or is it still every customer kind of comes in, goes through the TaskUs suggestion process, goes through some of that goal setting, goes through some of the strategic review, and then you start to develop ideas around what short list of tools might make sense?
Adrian, I do think we have some things that are going to be applicable across industries. There are a lot of tools that are agnostic, and those are going to be the most powerful because they're the most flexible. But at the same time, we want to make sure they're tuned to our client specific situations. So a lot of the new AI things we see being built, we can provide the right instructions so that they are using the right terminology for a particular industry. You mentioned manufacturing, retail, e-commerce, big focus of ours. A lot of the case types in that industry vertical are similar. Online orders, people are asking, "Where's my order? What's the status of it?" They're processing warranty claims or returns. The the case types and the processes are fundamentally similar, but not the same. Each company is going to have their own unique customer experience that they want to create, their own unique policies around that, and the things that they're going to do to differentiate their brands and customers' minds. So, it may come down to specific policies and processes, language, brand positioning. We want to make sure that whatever tools we're putting in place are reflective of those and have those specific instructions and rule sets and language, tone, and brand personality built in.
And that makes a ton of sense. And Joe, what about internally at TaskUs? So you're familiar with all these tools. You have accessibility and expertise in all these tools. Are you able to share what primary tools TaskUs is built upon today and how you sort of manage the orchestration of all of your customers' tools?
Yeah, thanks, Adrian. We do have a number of things we're doing internally. So, as a business process outsourcing firm, there are a number of things our clients expect us to get right and to be able to do efficiently, whether that is recruiting, hiring, onboarding, training, workforce management, data analytics, all of those enabling functions that allow us to deliver services in an efficient way. We have particular solutions for. And it might be that we are partnering with a third party who's developed some best in class technology for those specific ones, or we are also building automations internally. There's a really cool project we have going on right now in the analytics space. Typically you'd have to go to your analytics platform, pull a report, apply a number of filters. You might get down to the specific data point you want. We're building automation internally to allow you to interact with a chat bot interface. You can ask a question of that data. It'll return you a specific data point. And you can basically ask your data any particular permutation of question, and AI will retrieve the right data and provide suggestions and insights on that information that we gather on our own performance on a regular basis.
That's huge, man. Like coming up in my career, do you know how many? And I loved it. I loved all of it, but like how many hours and hours and hours and how many meetings I would have to have with analysts, and then analysts had to become some of my best friends to be able to paint a picture or tell a story about why certain numbers were doing a thing or why we were seeing certain things in a business. To be able to just ask a bot to be able to get that answer back without the 30-minute meeting or without the whiteboard or without pretty damn cool, man. That's obviously efficiency in motion, but also it it just is yet another indicator and another example of how quickly this stuff is going to change the world, change business, change businesses, and change the way the companies operate. It's going to happen extremely quickly.
We're super excited about it. We're leaning into it. The the speed at which we're moving is just increasing on a regular basis. It's the only thing you can do to be able to stay on top of things is to use AI in your own business to make sure that you're equipped to adapt to the increasing pace of change.
Oh, 100%, Joe. 100%. Joe, I'd like to move into the third pillar of process. And I know I always joke that this is the least sexy of the four pillars, but it's not. And now that we're in this world of AI, it's becoming even more important because process, whether it's what you're measuring and managing, whether it's how you're defining key performance indicators, how you're building prompts, how you're building the logic to be able to do some of the things that we're talking about right now. How do you guys at TaskUs, or how do you, Joe, think about have you built like your own living playbook along your career around how you sort of wrangle all the things your team needs to know, all the different areas of expertise or knowledge or FAQs that your team or your customers need about the tools? How do people understand changes, or how do you do controlling and monitoring? Spend a couple minutes kind of talking about how you've sort of managed process, or how TaskUs helps its customers manage process as their businesses grow and as their businesses.
Yeah, Adrian, I think the process management is one of the biggest ones in terms of continuous improvement. So there are a number of different frameworks around continuous improvement, process management that are out there. I think they all have their pros. One of the biggest things I am always trying to ask is what's driving the customer experience, whether it's good or bad. Let's look at the policies and processes behind what's driving those good and bad customer experiences and understand the why behind it. I think a story I love to tell is with an online auto retailer that we were working with. And there was some customer dissatisfaction that was popping up. And we wanted to understand, what was the impact of the customer support team on that? I think we saw that there was some discussion about, well, customers are mad at the company, but it's nothing that the customer support team had control of. So what can we do to address that once those incoming inquiries come to the customer service team? And here's the example. Somebody buys a new car online and the car is delayed on delivery. So the servicing component of the business that intakes the cars, that gets them cleaned up, that gets the preventative maintenance done, maybe the oil changed before the delivery, is running behind. And they haven't been able to meet a particular date commitment to get that car out the door. So the customer calls into the customer support department and says, hey, I was promised a car that it would be delivered within 2 weeks, and you've had to reschedule. Situations like that were introducing dissatisfaction among customers. We wanted to take a look at, well, yeah, that happened upstream, but let's isolate those impacts and understand once that reaches a customer support representative, what's the impact they're having on the situation? So we came up with some particular analytic models to say, let's isolate the upstream impact and let's look at the impact of the customer support representative. There are certain behaviors they do or don't do that drive the satisfaction or dissatisfaction of that customer. And it's simple things. It's around the language used, the positive positioning, the agreement to follow up with a customer within 48 hours, whether they are proactively setting expectations versus letting the customer drive the conversation. And we found, something simple like, I will follow up with our support department. I'll get back to you within 48 hours. If a customer support rep gets back within that 48 hours, customers are fine. They just want to know what to expect. But if a customer support rep doesn't call back within 48 hours, there's a 400% more likely chance of that customer becoming a detractor.
Absolutely.
So we hone in on something really simple around setting expectations and just look for how can we just get the basics right to make sure our customers are going to have a positive experience, even in light of a tough situation.
It's so true, man. It's like so many businesses, they miss the just getting the basics right. They miss the blocking and the tackling. And if you're going to miss the blocking and the tackling, it's obviously hard to break open for a big play. It's hard to throw a bomb to the end zone. It's hard to hit a hole and hit a 50-yard run. And frankly, even when you do, customers don't care, because if you're not blocking and tackling the whole game, you're probably not going to win in the end. You're probably not going to win in the end. And the other thing too is the part that you just mentioned around customers just want to know what to expect, or closing the loop, right? If there is an issue, if there is a problem, if there is an obstacle, if there is some point of consternation, customers just want the damn loop closed. They want to understand that it's been confirmed, validated, it's being processed or worked on. Our favorite line, right? We're working on it right now, customer. And then they want to your point, Joe, they want the follow up. Hey, customer, this is what happened. This is what we did. Here's our remediation plan. Is there anything else we can do? And it's that closing the loop that 9 out of 10 times, man, most customers are going to be okay with that. They're going to be okay with it. But Joe, over your career, how have you kind of how have you sort of worked with your actual teams, the teams that you lead, the teams that you manage, to get them to think about why they need to buy into the process, or why they need to be able to leverage some of the existing process that's been built, whether it's the playbooks or FAQs or agent knowledge base, whatever you guys are calling it? How have you kind of done that to make sure that the folks that are actually going hand in hand with the customers every day feel good about knowing sort of what their marching orders are, and they use that process almost as their as a way to have confidence going into any customer situation?
Yeah, Adrian, is when it comes to leading teams, I think it's all about helping each person understand what their part is in the overall mission. First, it's defining that mission, whether it's helping our clients deliver a really positive customer experience for their customers, helping them build their businesses, helping TaskUs create jobs for thousands of people across the globe. Those all come in as parts of our mission. And so having that North Star, super important. But number two, having each person understand, what is my part? What do I need to play? And how does that contribute to the mission? And then from there, you can get into the tactics as well. But it's really about those first two things that help teams operate in a way that is cohesive and motivating day over day.
I love it. I love it. Joe, let's jump into the fourth and final pillar of feedback. I'm going to break this one up for you. So, can you spend a minute or two kind of talking about some of the ways that TaskUs today is leveraging, using, acting upon, and then frankly, being able to build upon or invest upon its customer feedback? And then I'd love for you to kind of use an example or two around the same way that you guys are doing that with your employees. And again, the guys and the gals that are on the front line every day. Spend a couple of minutes talking about customer and employee feedback.
Yeah. So, Adrian, when you talk about customers, I just want to make sure we're on the same page with the into another question here. Are you thinking about customers as the end customers of our clients and the brands we work with? Or are you talking about our customers being our clients in the particular companies that we serve?
So excellent question, and actually now there might be a trifecta to this, but I was talking about your actual TaskUs customers. So like the guys and the gals that are working on the end of the TaskUs client relationship. But excellent point. The reality is you guys are literally working. Yes, you're working with them, but you're working on behalf of their customers. But I meant your internal TaskUs customers, but answer it however you can, Joe.
Yeah, so happy to go down that path, Adrian. I'll try to refer to our customers as our clients, and then customers being their end customers, just so we get the terminology straight. I might switch back and forth accidentally, but with our clients,
I should have cleared that up earlier. Thank you, Joe.
yeah, with our clients, I mean, we're in touch on a regular basis. We set up cadences to provide feedback and insights on their business that we're hearing from their customers. So, the typical weekly, monthly, quarterly, and then ad hoc executive business reviews. And it allows us to report on the data on our operations, the data we're seeing from the customer interactions that we're having on behalf of our clients. We're the ones that get to talk to their customers on a day-to-day basis. Who better to understand what their businesses are imparting in terms of perception, what their customers are saying back to them? This harkens back to the very beginning of our conversation around, reading the reviews online. That's a piece of it, but it's also those interactions that our teammates are having with their end customers that informs a lot of it. So we're able to do a lot of analytics and reporting, telling our clients things about their customer interactions, providing insights, trends, and recommendations too. And that's really where it all comes together. If there is something that's working really well, how can we amplify that? And if there's something that needs to be a little more fine-tuned, what is the process change we would suggest making? What's the policy change? And then ultimately, what do we expect the impact of that to be? We don't ever want to do anything in a silo without working with our clients on it. So bringing those recommendations to them, thinking through what are the tactical things we want to help them work toward to improve the customer experience, but then the analytical impact too of how we could improve either in terms of in customer experience, efficiency, or other metrics that we measure with those particular clients.
I love that. And I wonder too, so and then as you laid this out for us, like what about the folks that are on the TaskUs team who are literally touching the end clients, the end customers, sorry, the clients' end customers every day? How do you guys kind of leverage feedback from them? They're the guys and gals, boots on the ground. They're doing the calls, they're doing the tickets, they're doing the conversations, they're doing the chats. What are some of the ways that you guys kind of collect the TaskUs employee information to do exactly what you just said, where you can continue to sort of rinse, wash, repeat, refine, you keep getting better, you keep getting stronger? Oftentimes people on the front line, they hear again and again and again the things that need to change or get to fix. Well, how do you guys sort of manage some of that employee feedback?
Absolutely. We have a couple cool things we do. Our senior leadership are regularly doing shadowing or ghosting sessions, pick your term for it, but actually spending time side by side with our teammates, listening to their conversations with customers, talking to them about what's working for them and what's not. So, that allows us to do two things. One, see how they work, understand what their day-to-day is, and then two, having an opportunity to gather feedback from them. How are the things they're doing working or not for them and for our clients, and allows us another avenue to gather and collate feedback for our clients. And two, we've got multiple forums internally where we ask our teammates to provide feedback on what's working for them, what's not, and ideas too. I think some of the best ideas we get from our business are coming from our frontline teammates. We have an Ideas Us page on our internal website where anybody can submit something in terms of an idea for either a specific client, for our company more broadly. And those get turned into technology innovations by our digital team.
I love it, man. I love one of my favorite parts of this show, Joe, over the years has just been hearing how the innovation, the changes, the updates, sometimes the competitive advantage, the new competitive advantages identified comes from the front line, man. It comes from the guys and gals that are doing it again and again and again. They see opportunities, they see areas where customers continue to leave unhappy. They find fixes for how to make those same customers leave happy. And and frankly, that's one of my favorite parts of business is watching some of that take flight. Um, Joe, this has been absolutely amazing, my friend. As we start to wrap up, I want to give you an opportunity. Anything big that is coming up for TaskUs? Any big events? Any big announcements? Any big new product features or service features? Anything that you want to shout out to the CX Nation, my friend?
Yeah, I would love to mention a recent partnership announcement that we put out, and that was with both Decagon and Regal, two of the leaders we see in the agentic AI space. We've partnered with them to be able to deliver agentic AI for our clients. We're super excited about both partnerships. And for us, it's really not about automation, it's about augmentation. How do we
Yeah.
bring technology in to augment what our teammates are already doing and blend teammates plus technology in a seamless way for our clients and customers?
I love it. Those are two super cool companies, my friend. Those are two cutting edge companies. That's going to be two phenomenal partners to have. And more importantly, bet you the game's about to get a whole hell of a lot more fun, Joe, isn't it?
We are really excited about it, and so are our clients. It's been incredible to see the interest and the adoption by our clients.
That's amazing. Joe Anderson, this has been an absolute pleasure having you on. I'm so fortunate that you were able to come on and talk about the incredible things that you're doing with your team at TaskUs. Before I let you go, my friend, where can people reach out and get in touch with you or your team if they hear this episode and they want to learn more about you, they want to learn more about TaskUs, or they want to get in touch with Mr. Anderson?
Thanks, Adrian. Yeah, find me on LinkedIn, Joe Anderson. I'm the only one at TaskUs. Feel free to shoot me a message there, or joe.anderson@taskus.com. Please flood my email inbox.
I love it. Joe, thanks so much for coming on the CX Chronicles podcast. It's been our absolute pleasure having you, man.
Adrian, my pleasure. Thanks for the time.
Be sure to check out the CXC website. And as always, find us on any of your favorite podcast players: iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and more.